Welcome back to Inventive Minds, everyone. Episode 13. Already. Wow. This time we're diving into something that affects us all, health innovations. From ancient cures to the mind-blowing stuff we have today, we're going to trace the whole evolution of how we've tried to heal and stay healthy. But before we get started, a quick shout out to AudioCast Lab India. They're the masterminds behind this podcast, making sure everything sounds crystal clear. If you have a story you want to share, AudioCast Lab India is the place to go. They'll help you make a podcast that really hits home with your audience. All right, let's get back to our main topic, medicine and machines, health innovations across history. We're going to go on a journey that covers centuries. Think ancient healers using plants to the cutting-edge tech that's shaping healthcare today. And joining me is a true expert in the field, someone who can connect those dots between ancient wisdom and the latest breakthroughs.
Definitely excited to be here. You know what's really interesting about this topic? It's not just about technology, it's about us, about human ingenuity, this drive we have to understand our bodies and how to heal and how to live longer, healthier lives.
I love that. And so often when people think about healthcare innovation, they think about the latest gadgets and gizmos. But I'm curious, where did it all start? Was it all just garlic and turmeric back in the day?
You'd be surprised what our ancestors knew. Think about ancient Egypt. They were using garlic for its antimicrobial properties way before we even knew what a microbe was. And in ancient China and India, herbal remedies were everywhere. Turmeric, for example. They'd been using that for centuries for inflammation. It's like nature's ibuprofen.
So they were tapping into the power of plants long before we were putting them into pill bottles. But I'm guessing there were some limits to what they knew, right? I mean, no offense to our ancient ancestors, but I don't think I'd want them performing open heart surgery on me.
Haha, probably not the best idea. But even back then, they were pushing the boundaries of what they knew. Take ancient Greece. They were developing surgical tools and performing procedures that show they had some knowledge of anatomy.
So it wasn't just trial and error with a sharp rock and a prayer. They actually knew something about how the body worked.
Exactly. It's like building a house, you need a blueprint, and that's what they were doing, laying the groundwork for the more sophisticated medical stuff that would come later.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got the ancient Greeks setting the stage. What happens next in this grand medical construction project?
Well, let's fast forward to the Renaissance. It was an explosion of art, science, and anatomical exploration.
Ah, the Renaissance. That's when geniuses like Da Vinci were around, right?
Yeah.
Painting masterpieces and dissecting bodies.
Yep, that's right. Da Vinci wasn't just a brilliant artist, he was fascinated by the human body. And his super detailed anatomical drawings, well, they were kind of controversial back then, but they actually paved the way for a more accurate understanding of anatomy.
So even then, pushing the boundaries of knowledge had its critics. But without those pioneers, who knows where medicine would be today? It's fascinating how each era builds on the one before it.
It really is, like a relay race, you know? Each generation passing on the baton, adding their discoveries to what we know.
Love that. Okay, we've gone from garlic to anatomical drawings.
Yeah.
But when did machines really enter the scene?
Well, before we get to all the robots and AI everyone's talking about these days, we need to talk about the inventions that let us see what we couldn't see before, you know? The machines that revealed how our bodies actually worked. Those discoveries are the reason we're where we are today.
Okay, you've got me on the edge of my seat. What was the first big game changer?
The microscope. Picture it. The 16th century, a Dutch guy named Zacharias Janssen, he was a spectacle maker. He figures out how to magnify objects with a bunch of lenses, and boom, a whole new world opens up. We're talking bacteria cells, all this stuff we had no idea existed before. It totally revolutionized microbiology and pathology.
So that's how we figured out it wasn't just bad smells making people sick. It was these tiny things we couldn't even see.
Yeah.
It really was a golden age of discovery, wasn't it?
It was. And then, just as the 19th century was ticking off, Wilhelm Röntgen discovers X-rays. Can you imagine finally being able to see inside the body without having to cut it open, like having superpowers, seeing through flesh and bone?
Talk about a medical upgrade. From guessing what's going on inside to having a clear view, it must have changed everything about how doctors diagnose problems.
Oh, it absolutely did. And it paved the way for even more amazing imaging techniques like CT scans and MRI machines. But beyond just seeing, there are machines designed to keep us alive, too. The pacemaker, for example. Invented in the 20th century, it saved countless lives by keeping people's hearts beating properly. Like having a tiny mechanic working 24/7 to keep your heart running smoothly.
I actually know someone with a pacemaker. It's incredible how much of a difference it's made in their life.
And then there's the MRI machine. Doctors can see soft tissues in such detail. Can you imagine trying to diagnose complex issues without it? It'd be like trying to navigate a maze in the dark.
It's amazing to think how far we've come from rubbing garlic on a wound. Right. But I have a feeling this is just the beginning.
Oh, yeah. We've just scratched the surface of how machines are changing healthcare. Get ready for the 21st century. We're about to dive into the world of robots, AI, and stuff that sounds straight out of a sci-fi movie.
All right, that's exciting. And we'll be back to do just that in just a minute. But before we do, be sure to check out the show notes for links to some really great books on medical history. You won't believe some of the stories behind these discoveries. Welcome back to Inventive Minds. Before the break, we were talking about all those incredible inventions that changed how we see the human body.
It really is mind-boggling how much our understanding has changed over time.
It's like we've gone from those old blurry pictures to having these high-definition 3D maps of our insides.
Right.
But with all this progress, are we actually living longer and healthier because of it?
Oh, absolutely. Just look at the impact of vaccines. They've basically wiped out diseases that used to be a death sentence. And then there are antibiotics. Totally changed the game for treating infections. Thanks to these breakthroughs, we're living longer, and those extra years, well, they're healthier too.
It's true. I can't imagine a world without antibiotics. Something as simple as a cut could turn really serious.
Exactly. We kind of take it for granted, but these discoveries have changed everything. And it's not just about adding years to life, it's about adding life to those years.
I like that.
We can treat things now that we thought were untreatable. People are living more active and fulfilling lives because of it.
That's a great point. It's not just about quantity, it's about quality.
Mm-hmm.
But let's be real for a second. Not everyone has equal access to these amazing advancements. What about people in developing countries or places far from major cities? Are they benefiting or are they being left behind?
That's a really important question, and honestly, in the past, the answer was often yes, they were being left behind. But things are starting to change. We're seeing more portable diagnostic tools, telemedicine, all sorts of innovations that are bridging the gap between the haves and the have-nots when it comes to healthcare.
So those amazing technologies we were talking about, the robots, the AI diagnostics, those aren't just for the wealthy anymore. They're becoming more accessible to everyone.
That's the idea. And that's what's so exciting about the future of healthcare. Imagine a world where someone in a remote village can have a virtual appointment with a specialist on the other side of the world, or get a simple blood test analyzed by AI no matter where they live.
That's an incredible vision.
It really is about democratizing healthcare, making it available to everyone.
It gives me a lot of hope for the future. We've talked about the amazing potential, but we also touched on some of the ethical challenges.
Right.
I think it's time we dug into those a bit more. What are some of the concerns that come with all these advancements?
Well, like with any powerful tool, we have to use it responsibly. One big concern is data privacy. We're generating so much health data these days. It's really important to protect that information and make sure it's not misused. It's like doctor-patient confidentiality, but for the digital age.
That makes sense. So we need to make sure that as we embrace AI and big data, we're also protecting our health information. It's like we need a security system for our data. What about machines making decisions about our healthcare? Are we ready to let algorithms decide our treatment plans?
No, that's a big one.
Yeah.
It raises a lot of questions. Can an algorithm really understand the complexities of a person's situation? Should we only rely on data, or should human judgment still play a role? Especially when it comes to life or death decisions. These are tough questions that we all need to be thinking about.
You know, it's pretty amazing that a conversation like this can come out of something as simple as listening to a podcast.
Yeah.
But I do think it's crucial for us to think critically about the technology shaping our lives. Speaking of learning more, do you have any recommendations for listeners who want to dive deeper into this world of medical innovation?
Absolutely. There are so many fantastic books out there that explore the history of medicine, the ethical challenges, the stories of the people who made these breakthroughs. It's a really fascinating field, full of drama, brilliance, and hope. If you're looking for a good place to start, check out the show notes. We've put together a lot of some great books. You're bound to find something that grabs your attention.
Great suggestions. And you can find links to all those books in the episode description. Remember, knowledge is power. Before we jump into the 21st century marvels of healthcare technology, let's take a moment to appreciate how far we've come.
Okay.
From garlic and turmeric to x-rays and pacemakers, it's been quite the journey.
It has. It really shows you the power of human curiosity and our desire to heal and understand our bodies. Makes you wonder what incredible discoveries are still out there, waiting to be made.
Speaking of incredible discoveries, we're about to enter the world of robots, AI, and technologies that sound like they're straight out of a science fiction movie.
Get ready to have your mind blown. We're going to see how these innovations are completely changing healthcare. Everything from personalized medicine to telemedicine to wearable tech that's like having a doctor on your wrist. It's a brave new world out there, and we're about to explore it.
Sounds like an adventure. And that's exactly what we're going to do after a quick word from our sponsor.
Don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be back in a flash to explore the cutting-edge world of modern medical marvels. And if you've ever thought about sharing your story through a podcast, be sure to check out AudioCast Lab India. They're the best in the business, and they can help you make a podcast that people will love.
They're amazing. Welcome back to Inventive Minds. We've come a long way in this episode, haven't we? From ancient cures to those incredible inventions like the microscope and X-rays. Now, for the grand finale, we're going to explore the most futuristic part of healthcare: robots, AI, and innovations that sound like they're straight out of science fiction.
I know, right? It's amazing how fast technology is changing things. What used to be pure fantasy is now a reality in healthcare. And it's not just about cool gadgets. It's about making healthcare more precise, more personal, and easier for everyone to access.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a techie myself, so I'm super excited to dig into this.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that are really pushing the boundaries right now?
Well, robotic surgery is definitely one of them. Imagine a surgeon controlling robotic arms with incredible precision, making tiny incisions, reaching areas that are hard to get to, and all with minimal disruption to the surrounding tissue.
So it's not like those movies where robots are doing surgery on their own, right?
Not yet, but the technology is getting there. Think of it more as a tool that gives the surgeon more accuracy and control, especially in those minimally invasive procedures. It's changing things in cardiac surgery, urology, even gynecology. Patients recover faster, there are fewer complications, and the outcomes are better overall.
Okay, that makes me feel a lot better about robots in the operating room. But what about beyond surgery? What other areas of healthcare are being transformed by technology?
Oh, we can't talk about modern healthcare without mentioning telemedicine. Remember when you actually had to go to the doctor's office, even if it was just for a quick checkup or a prescription refill?
Oh yeah, I remember those days. Especially during gestures, vaguely, a few years ago.
Well, telemedicine is making those days a thing of the past. Now you can have appointments with your doctor right from your home, just using your phone, tablet, or computer. It's amazing for people in remote areas, those who have trouble getting around, or even people who just like the convenience.
It's like having a doctor on speed dial. But speaking of convenience, what about all those wearable health gadgets we're seeing everywhere? Is my smartwatch going to replace my doctor someday?
Probably not. But wearable tech is definitely changing how we monitor our health and prevent problems. You've got fitness trackers counting your steps, smart watches that keep an eye on your heart rate and sleep. These devices are helping people take control of their health.
It's like having a personal health coach on your wrist, always reminding you to sleep more, move more, and make better choices.
Exactly. And all the data they collect, well, that can be really useful for doctors. It gives them a better picture of your overall health and helps them catch potential problems early on.
So it's not just about tracking how many steps you take anymore. It's about using technology to help both patients and doctors make smarter decisions about health.
Right. And speaking of smarter decisions, we can't forget about AI in healthcare. It's already being used to look at medical images, predict how patients will do, and even come up with personalized treatment plans. It's like having a super smart assistant helping doctors see patterns they might have missed.
Wow, now that sounds futuristic. AI diagnosing diseases and creating custom treatments. That's incredible, but also a little bit scary.
It is powerful stuff, and like anything powerful, we need to use it carefully. There are ethical questions we have to think about, especially when it comes to data privacy and bias in algorithms. But AI has so much potential for good. Just imagine AI helping us catch cancer sooner, personalizing treatments based on our genes, and even stopping diseases before they even start.
That's a future I can get behind. It sounds like we're on the verge of some amazing discoveries. So, looking back on everything we've talked about today, what would you say is the biggest takeaway from our journey through health innovation?
I think the biggest takeaway is that it's a story about human ingenuity. It's about our desire to understand our bodies, to beat disease, and to live longer, healthier lives. From the very first healers using plants and basic tools to the scientists and engineers pushing boundaries today, it's that human spirit that's driving progress in healthcare.
I couldn't have said it better myself. And speaking of brilliant minds out there, if you're inspired to share your story, maybe start your own podcast, Audiocast Lab India is the place to go. They'll help you make a podcast that people will love.
They really are the best.
All right, everyone. That's it for this episode of Inventive Minds. We had a blast exploring health innovations from those ancient remedies to the mind-blowing technology of today. And just a heads up on what's coming next on Inventive Minds. Get ready to dive into the power of materials, plastics, steel, and beyond. We'll be exploring how material science shapes our lives in ways we might not even realize. So until next time, stay curious, keep exploring, and never stop asking questions.
See you next time.